Well, welcome back to Bible Lessons for Kids. My name is Pastor Joe Jackson. I'm the Associate Pastor here at the Community Baptist Church, and I'm so glad that you are watching with us right now as we're going to go through another exciting Bible lesson from the book of Genesis. And if you haven't been with us so far, we've been doing an Old Testament study, and we've been going through Bible lesson after Bible lesson. And in the last couple lessons, we've been learning about a man named Abram, or soon to become Abraham. And in our last lessons, we learned about how Abraham had followed the voice of God. And when no one else was listening to God, Abraham listened to God and followed God's direction. And when God said, I want you to go that way, Abraham went that way. And when God said, I want you to do this, he did that. And in our lesson today, we're going to continue to learn more about the man Abraham. And we're going to learn about his nephew Lot. You see, Abraham, in Genesis chapter number 13, it shows us Abraham with his nephew Lot. See, when Abraham left the land which God had told him to leave, God told him to go out and to go to this new place. Abraham had taken his nephew Lot with him. And when he took his nephew Lot with him, the two of them had great wealth. They had amassed great amounts of wealth because they had followed God. And God gives blessings to those that obey them. That reminds me of a little statement. Obedience brings blessings. Disobedience removes blessings. And Lot and Abram, God had just blessed them. And they had cows and cattle and sheep and livestock. They had all these different things. They had so much that wherever they went, it was amazing to see. And Lot and Abraham, as they continued to go together, the Bible says they would go from location to location to location, much like the cowboys used to do in the Wild West, where they'd have to go from location to location to location to find grass and water to feed all of their animals. And the Bible says that as they continued to travel in their travels through, that they began to start to have some problems. Because you see, they had so much cattle and they had so much people there that there began to be a little bit of friction. There began to be a little bit of trouble. There began to be a little bit of fighting sometimes. As sometimes some of the people wouldn't get along. I don't know about you, but maybe right now you've been stuck at home for the last week or so, and you're starting to get a little bit antsy, is what my wife calls it, where you're starting to butt heads with your brother and sister. You're starting to get a little bit, they took my toy again. They did that. They did this. They shouldn't have done that. And that is where Lot and Abraham's whole group of workers were. Let's read about it in Genesis chapter number 13. And the Bible says, and there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanites and the Perizzites that dwell in the land. And Abraham said unto Lot, let there be no strife, I pray thee, before me and thee, and between my herdsmen and thy herdsmen, for we be brethren. You see, they would come together, and every single day as they'd come, and they'd have to go to the places where they could get some water. The herdsmen would try to get there, and they'd try to get there with their animals, and it became a race to see who could get there first. Kind of reminds me of how some meal times are, where I want to get the last cookie, I want to get this, I want to have that. And so they began to really struggle. They began to get into fights. When my brother and I were little kids, my mom had a couple rules that we had to obey. One of those rules, and one of the most important rules, was no fighting. We were not allowed to fight. My mom believed that fighting between siblings was not good. And so my mom would often tell us, if you can't solve this, I will. And when my mom solved things, it was not good, not for us. It usually involved us getting in big trouble. And I remember one time when my brother and I were a little bit littler, we were kids, and we were having a disagreement. That's what we like to call it. We tell our mom it was a disagreement, and we were trying to get it out. We decided we'd take our plastic swords and we would sword fight to decide who was right. And all of a sudden at the end of it, we're literally hitting each other with our swords, and my mom came in. And my mom gave us the look. You all know the look, right? The look your mom gives you that says, life is over. And this is where they are at. Abraham comes and says, listen, stop. No more fighting. We are being a bad example. An example is how you behave. It's what other people see you do when things go good or bad. And Abram comes to Lot and says, listen, we're brethren. These other people, the Canaanites and the Perizzites, they don't know God. We know God. We're supposed to be the good example. Let's be the good example. And you can continue to see here. And the Bible says, Abram looks, says, is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, then I will go to the right. If thou shalt take the right hand, then I'll go to the left. And the Bible says, and Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan that was well watered everywhere before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord in the land of Egypt that is cometh to Zoar. And then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east and then separated themselves one from another. And Abraham dwelled in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain and pitched his tent towards Sodom. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. The Bible says that Abraham comes and gets Lot and says, Lot, come on, we can solve this. We don't have to fight. We can solve this. And this is what some of you need to do. When you have a disagreement with your brother or sister, or you need to say, we can solve, we don't have to fight, we can share. And that's exactly what Abraham says. Abraham says we can share, and Abraham says, hey, I want you to look around you right here. He says, I want you to look around, I want you to see everything, and I think that we can split this place. This is big enough for the both of us. The problem is we're right together. Maybe if we separate a little bit, we'll be safe. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to look, and if you want anything to the left, you can have all the stuff to the left. And if you want anything to the right, I'll take all the stuff. You can have the right and I'll take all the left. It's just whichever way you pick, I'll be happy with. And what the Bible tells us next is very, very interesting. You see, there's a wise old Bible teacher who I had when I was a kid who told me what happens next, and I have always been amazed by it. He said that if you read this passage and you read it exactly as God intended it for it to be, you'll see that as Abraham points to the left and as Abraham points to the right, that Lot doesn't look left or right. Lot looks, what we would say, in front and behind. You see, Abraham wanted to split the good land and the bad land. He said, I'll take half of the good land and half of the bad land that's over here, and you could have half of the good land and half the bad land over here, and we'll split. So we'll both have half the good and half the bad. But what I learned about this passage is very amazing, young people, is that Lot doesn't do that. Lot doesn't say, I'll take the left and you take the right, and we'll split the good and the bad, so we'll both have some good. Lot says, I'll take all of the good, uncle, and you get all of the bad. See, I want to go that way, and you can go that way. The Bible says that he pitched his tent towards the wicked cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. See, Abraham wasn't saying, hey, listen, I'll go to Sodom and Gomorrah, or you go to Sodom and Gomorrah. Abraham was saying, hey, we'll split, so neither one of us go that way. But in this moment right here, Lot makes a bad choice. Lot decides, I want all of it for myself. I'm going to take it all. And you know what Abraham does? Abraham looks at Lot and says, if that'll make you happy, you can have it. What? His nephew just stole from him. His nephew didn't listen. Abraham is the one who God wants to choose. Abraham should have half the good, it should be fine. It should be shared. But that's not what Lot did. Lot said, I'll take the best and I'll leave you with the rest. But you know what Abram did? Abram said, well, if that's good with you, I'm good with that. You see, Abram understood that God would bless him if he was honest, if he was good. Hey, young people, you know what I found? I found that when I obey and I follow God, God takes care of me. God takes care of me, and God helps me, and God blesses me. And I can tell you this, when you do right by others and you are obedient and you share and you do it even if it costs you something, God takes care of you. You know, in this lesson, Abraham is a good example of someone who shares. Lot is a terrible example of someone who shares. Which one are you more like? You see, in the next passage, we see that Lot goes and he pitches his tent. That means he puts the door of his tent right towards where the evil, bad, wicked people live, because he had set himself down that path. At the exact same time, Abraham, he is looking before God. And he begins to seek to God, because I think he's a little bit sad that he doesn't get the same area over where Lot was. And God speaks to him. And the Lord said to Abraham, after Lot was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes and look into the place where thou art, northward, southward, eastward, westward. He said, hey, remember left, right? Remember north, south? Remember all those different directions, east, south, north, south, east, west? All of those? For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land and the length of it, and the breadth of it, I will give it unto thee. And Abraham removed his tent and dwelt in the plains of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built an altar unto the Lord. You see, the Lord spoke unto Abraham and said, hey, Abram, you were willing just to take just half and to give half of it away. Listen, it's all yours. One day, everything that you were, I'm going to give it all to you. Young people, as you listen to this lesson today, I want to remind you that if we offer sacrifice to God, that means we listen to God and we're willing to give of ourselves to help others. God sees it all, because God sees the heart. And if God sees our heart, God knows what's in our mind, and God will help you if you choose to let Him. I hope that you will choose to be sharing and kind today. I hope that you won't sit there and go, it's mine, I want it, I'm going to have it. Because in our next lesson, oh boy, in our next couple lessons, you're going to see that Lot's attitude is going to take him places he never wanted to go. It's going to cost him things he never would want to give up. And while Abraham, God will continually bless him because he made the right choice. I hope that you'll share like Abram, and I hope that you'll be a young person who is kind. Thanks for listening.